Good evening. It's 9:36 p.m. It is Friday evening. It is late, and this is like my third attempt at this video. Okay, what happened this morning? I made a video, and I was very happy with everything that I said. You know what I mean? I was in the right frame of mind, meaning like I was really happy or content enough to get through the video with no problems. And then as I was getting ready to replay the video, I inadvertently deleted it and it pissed me off. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait a little bit, re-record it. And then I really, really hated the second recording. So now I'm going to make my third attempt. Uh, you know, this is one of those put together videos where I'm just kind of going on and on about different subjects. And mind you, I'm doing everything I can not to rant. I'm basically talking more about my future in this video, as well as my projects that I'm going to be coming up with. And I thought I would take the opportunity, I can't help, I cannot resist bragging about CB Berganza. Now, this is the only picture that, okay, this picture and the other picture that I'm sure you guys seen with just his face, those are the only really pictures that are around that I have of CB Berganza, and I know that there's more, okay? But I am such a lover of this person. Like, everything about Supercancer makes me smile because I relate to this person. I can see who I am, you know. So today I was thinking about how I have carried over, skills and abilities from my past life and did not realize, I didn't know anything about C.B. Berganza or Prince Alamehu until about almost a year ago. I think I found out like in late October, sometime in November, something like that. Okay. I can look through videos and stuff like that I recorded so I can get the details. But everybody's been watching my journey. Everybody's seen my videos since 2015 and how all this unfolded. Okay, first I want to talk about what C.B. Berganza did in the past and how it relates to me today. Okay, C.B. Berganza, the information that's written about him is he was a well-known occultist. Okay, now obviously he did work to put a roof over his head, but how he was known, like as far as like what was printed in about him in like publications, because people did articles about him and there's stuff about him. I believe in the Massachusetts library or whatever. Anyway, uh, what I was going to say about him is that he obviously came from a different country, meaning when he came here to the United States, and so he seemed like he was very vague about nobody really knew about him, like where was he born, and nobody could confirm, okay, because he's basically called himself Indian several times. He uh, referred to himself as being Hindu. He even tried to identify with some of these Native Americans here in the United States because I think he was trying to blend in as best as he could without having to say that he was black because, people have always raged against black excellence. Okay, and what I say by black excellence is the fact that black people are very skilled, multiple skilled in multiple different things, right? And we were probably, especially after slavery ended, there was a lot of white people who were very nervous about black people who had abilities that they didn't. Okay, now C. Berganza was known as an occultist. Now, what he did, like in his day jobs and stuff, I don't know, but it seemed like being an occultist was a big part of his persona, much like it is mine. Okay, even though I create the Swan Song Manifesto, I got people squashing it. Even though I create YouTube channels and people want to ignore my stuff, but yet they want to upload my stuff and show it on their channel, people don't want to acknowledge me as an occultist, but I am. As well as in my past life, I got ripped off in my past life. Okay, and I feel like I got ripped off in this life as well. Okay, because I had people like, the Collins family getting into my stuff when they had no right to. I believe that C.B. Berganza was taken advantage of a lot. And I know in my life as a Marine Corps, I was taken advantage of a lot. A lot. As an occultist, there's many things that come under that category as an occultist, okay? I know people have, I have been like, bullied on social media in ways where there's like exclusion. Like my people are supposed to ignore my channel. I've had people participate in gang stalking online. Like, you know, there's people who do not talk to me, but they talk about my stuff. They take my topics and they actually create information, but, you know, entertainment based on the stuff that I talk about, and they have full participation. They're allowed to have subscribers, but I get bullied by these fake Christians, right? Which is bullshit. But anyway, and yet these fake Christians will mimic exactly the stuff that I say, or try to repackage it in a way where they try to act like it has nothing to do with the occult. You know, just like you have a lot of these tarot readers and card readers and intuitive readers on YouTube, and then they'll sit there and say things like, you know, talking about people practicing the craft or whatever. Now, I will say I'll talk about witchcraft in a minute, but, you know, it's always some form or some giving away of the hypocrisy that I have to deal with. It's always some way of getting that feeling of them purposely trying to work for both sides. Like, there's a lot of people that support me, but they also have this sort of allegiance, or they felt bullied, maybe. I don't know what the deal is, okay? But people have been instructed to basically, you know, omit me from any form of social thing or being able to fully participate in YouTube. Okay, just like they did the blacklisting thing. And like I said, I know who it came from. And I will say, you know, it's wrong to do that. You know what I mean? Especially since, you know, it's wrong. Okay, we know where this whole thing originated from. Okay, but the people who practice things like, you know, the card readings or the whatever, people who get their horoscopes, all of that stuff, okay, falls under the guidelines of the occult. You know, just like the days of the week do, just like all the holidays that we celebrate are all pagan, right? But when you really look at how paganism was, how it was practiced, okay, a lot of it does delve into the occult, okay? And so, you know, I get persecuted for being who I am, okay? I already talked about the story, but as an occultist, you know, I have different skills. Just like the tarot readers on YouTube, just like the intuitive readers on YouTube, some people read cards, and some people can, you know, read signs in splattered water. Now, I'm not kidding. There's actual ways of looking into for different forms of divination. There's several different forms. Okay, I taught a few on my channel, but there really are several different forms of divination. Okay, now I want to talk about me being an occultist. Okay, but as an occultist, you know, here are some of my occultist skills. Okay, I'm a pharanologist. Okay, a pharanologist is somebody who can read people's faces and tell certain things about them, infer things about just looking at the shape of their face. Okay, and I think I had mentioned the story of me working at the news station and me meeting this guy for the very first time and automatically knowing that he was Mormon. And he was seen like, well, he wasn't Mormon, like a current, what do you call it, active Mormon, but he grew up Mormon in the church and everything. And so, you know, I understand this form of science, and I know I've been carrying this around intuitively all my life. Okay, this is just how I've made, you know. But when I started reading about C.B. Braganza and saw that he listed a pharanologist as a part of his, I guess, what he was known for as an occultist, I was like blown away. Because that is a very unique skill to be able to infer that sort of stuff just by looking at someone's face. You know what I mean? So it's like, I can't tell you the feeling I have, the connection I have to C.B. Braganza. Like, I just love this guy, right? I do. I love it, right? So yeah, a pharanologist, that's what it was. I'm also an astrologer. Okay, meaning, like, you know, some people know how to cast charts and stuff like that, and I do think perhaps maybe I might have done that in my past life. Okay, but I know as an adult, you know, there really is no need to cast charts. Okay, because now we do live in the modern age. We do live in the modern age, and you can go and buy and publish manuals on that sort of stuff. You could also you know, when it comes to me trying to figure out like when the void course is. You know, there's like certain websites that they do have, but I've always known that, and always was very careful about always being able to obtain that information. Like before I started going online to get information like on the moon phases and stuff like that, I remember, I know sounds really crazy, but as a kid in high school, I used to buy the Farmer's Almanac. Weird, huh? Okay, but this is just how I've always been because of me being of me being the reincarnation of a 19th century man. That's a trip, isn't it? It's like when I read more about this guy, I cannot help it, like, oh my gosh, that is so me, because it is me, right? Okay, let me tell you some more stuff. Okay, so not only was I a phrenologist and an astrologer, of course, I'm also a seer. I describe myself as a seer, or called myself a seer, and yeah, this is true. I get downloads all the time, or prophetic dreams, prophetic visions. I can see into the past. I can see into, sometimes I have what they call, like, I'm in the present moment, and sometimes I can predict things, right? So I have all three of those skills. Okay, this is one of the reasons why people trip out on me, because technically, I'm a deity. Technically, okay? Not like the deities that you guys all conjured up in your mind and all this other stuff, these sort of expectations, but deities, a lot of them came in human form, and I'm one of them, okay? I have these exceptional skills. Okay, so, yeah, I'm a seer, and then I'm also a teacher. I like teaching. And I like making, like, printed publications, and I like making instruction manuals. If you guys checked out Divination Before Spell Work, I enjoy making that. I did. And I enjoyed experimenting with the tarot cards. I just released a video on tarot. Actually, it's in my library to be released. I had actually linked that video to my Ko-fi account, right? But unfortunately, Ko-fi didn't work out. Okay, but it's in my YouTube library. The only thing is, it's not published to the public. It's actually a private video for right now. Okay, eventually I will. But I did, experiment with the tarot, and I was inspired to do that by what is her, Ashton? I can't think of the name, but I was inspired to do that after me giving the card lesson, that the divination lesson on cartomancy, right? I had saw her past life reading spread, and I was really impressed, because I don't really make elaborate spreads. They actually use the mathematical applications for their spreads, and I was really impressed with it. So I kept thinking, how can I do the same thing with tarot? Now, I will be releasing that, and I will be releasing the manual that I love making manuals, okay? And see, but, and I understand that this could be a transferable skill, like to take it and maybe a company could utilize my skills. Missy, I want to make sure that I don't work for a company that I don't give a shit about. Like, the last job setup that they wanted me to work at an aviation place. I don't care about that. And it's gonna transfer into how I write. Like, I love writing. I remember people used to be very impressed with my emails. I like writing, and I've always loved writing. When I was a teenager, well, first of all, I'd like to say that my father used to have a typewriter, and I used to plink around on the typewriter when I was like 7 years old, and I taught myself how to type, where all the keys were. And then when I got in 8th grade, I got formal lessons on how to type, with your hand placements. And since then, I've been typing pretty much all my life. All my life, I've been typing, right? And I always knew that I was going to work in an office, and I've always enjoyed being creative and expressing my stuff through writing. I remember my father also bought me, this sounds so outdated, a word processor when I was 15 years old, and I loved it. I can't tell you, I used to sit in my room and just make up stuff all the time. You know what I mean? And I was sad because, I never had people. I had fake friends coming around, but, I couldn't really share my little project ideas with people. And when I did talk about my projects, my little things, people just kind of rolled their eyes, They just thought it was whatever. But, I've always been, this is what I've always been. I've always been this person, it's just I've never been able to express myself or be out and be my whole self, because I was always smothered in that environment. Negative environment at that. But, yes, I've always loved teaching. I've always liked creating instruction manuals. I've always liked, sharing what I know. And so this is who I am today. And when I look at C.B. Braganza and the kind of skills that he had in it when it came to the occult, as well as, you know, the choppy history, the sad part about C.B. Braganza. See, the thing is like, you know, C.B. Braganza seems like he, you know, was obviously a victim of, what do you call it, kind of irrational rage, it seems like. And I was too in this life, you know, and it's been very difficult for me because, you know, like I said, I was bullied growing up in school, in my home, out in the community, and then moving here to Bakersfield, it's been a goddamn nightmare, all because of the same issue, you know. And I had no idea who this person began with Prince Alamehu. To me, the whole situation is very sad because, you know, I feel as though um, uh, I could have had a better quality of life. I could have had a better quality of life had, you know, this never happened. But then again, it's like, well, I probably wouldn't have existed. You know what I mean? I would have stayed in the ether like I should have stayed. You know, just like my father should have stayed in the ether. I don't believe that cloning is something that, we obviously are not, me and my father, probably were not, it might be the only people who aren't pro-cloning, only because of the trauma that it causes. You know, and being able to understand, identify, and articulate why it's wrong, why we feel that it is wrong. Because a lot of people, they don't, I don't know. I mean, I get the feeling that there's a lot of people who feel the same way, who once they realize that, like there's some celebrities who agree with what I'm saying, maybe they're just uncomfortable releasing or expressing that feeling. And I'm not speaking for anyone other than myself right now. But I want to go on to the next slide and go on to another topic of conversation. Hang on a second. Okay, so now as Maria Gordon, carrying over the skills that I have acquired from C.B. Braganza, and chances are those skills were also inside of me before I was C.B. Braganza, because let's remember, I'm originally from Egypt. So, as you know, somebody who comes from a very mysterious background and group of people, I take it that, you know, I've always been what they call a mystical, magical person. In my life now as Maria Gordon, I also would have to put a few other titles that I believe are appropriate for me. I am also a social scientist. I do recall making many statements about me observing people since I was a kid. And there's been times where I've taken notes on people, seriously, formal. I write notes all the time, you know, and I find it very fascinating. I'm dead accurate when it comes to understanding people, okay, and how they behave, how to predict their behavior. Because of this, and because of my vast knowledge of understanding people, yeah, I do believe that referring to myself as a social scientist is appropriate. You know, I remember what life was like in the schoolyard, and I definitely can tell you in the work environment, observing people, that is very interesting. So much so that I wanted to do some sort of project, a collaborative project with, like, you know, I started envisioning, like, how can I, you know, present my work? What would this be good for? Like, especially understanding how heated the vibration is in the workplace. Not just towards me. I'm talking about, you know, people who just carry in a lot of discord inside of them anyway, and how a lot of people are at breaking point, and a lot of people are gossiping, and they, you know, it's just the whole environment, the toxic environment that goes on in the workplace, how it starts, how it festers up, and all of that stuff. And then, you know, also interesting topics on how to manage people, understanding, you know, the psychological needs of people. Why I wanted to write, you know, and work alongside these educational companies and talk about, you know, why a lot of these so-called ideas that get introduced to the workplace fail. Okay? It's always something. People always, you know, it's always something, and I can understand that why people experiment with trying to change the workplace environment. Okay, but I think there's a lot of things that they're overlooking. You know what I mean? I've been the weirdo that's been observing a very long time, a lot of things. Okay, and of course, not just observing people in the school and the work environment, which is a great thing anyway. Not great that it's because people are such assholes. It's because there's so much human behavior and raw human behavior that gets exposed. That's important to record analyze, and so that you can like discuss it with different people. But I would also say, I've observed people in just regular situations. People that come to your house, utility service people, going to the bank, that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not really in observation mode all the time, especially now. I feel as though I know people so much that I have started kind of like developing the attitude of my father. My father used to say he didn't want to be around people. He didn't want to be around people. And I used to really enjoy being around people. And so to some degree, like I get upset because I get excluded from YouTube because I do need some socialization. And it's like they're constantly taking a shit on me. They constantly take a shit on my needs, the things the basic human needs that people have to have in order to survive and have a balanced life. But once again, I understand this was originated as a Nazi plan. Okay, I need to socialize. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it's like, okay, the work environment, I can never have any sort of healthy work environment. Because obviously, I will tell you, when it comes to the work environment, people are very cutthroat. People cannot wait to gossip about you. Even though they may not be interested in your job, they still think it's fun when they make somebody lose their job. I feel like the workplace is like a great example of a clusterfuck of sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissistic people. I mean, just the weirdest people that you can ever imagine. The discontented is all in the workplace, okay? And I have a lot to say about that. But anyway, a social scientist would be appropriate. Also, because I observe people and I can predict certain things, and because I would say I do have a large occult leaning, I'm a philosopher. You know what I mean? I've seen the errors that a lot of people make. And by me deciding to go in a different route than the traditional route or the route that maybe somebody else took, because a lot of people are doing it, it's a fad or whatever, if I'm seeing people jump into the end result is them ending up jumping off a cliff, I'm like, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and do something different. So I choose to, live my life based off the information that I gather. And see, this is where the big difference is with a lot of people who study for certain professions, okay? Like, for example, psychologists, right? I'm sure this group of mind-controlled religious freaks that got sucked up in this cult, that was like all against me. Did they apply any psychology in this? Did they realize what they were doing to another human being? Or did they ignore that? Or they might have forgot because they really only did enough to just get by in the school system so they could pass that test. Because if they did understand what they were doing to another human being, I would say that they're borderline evil. In fact, I wouldn't even call it borderline evil. You are fucking evil. Okay? But see, what I see in my life is that knowledge is something that should not be wasted. And this is the difference between me and what the school system does. This is the difference between me and the people who go to brick and mortar schools just for the sake of saying that they did. You see what I'm saying? So far, I'm an occultist, a social scientist, a philosopher, and right now, and some people will say, well, Maria, you've also did bookkeeping and stuff like that. You're right, I did, okay? And to me, those are great skills. I'm one of those people. I have a lot of different things, okay? But right now, I'm focusing on something else. If I go back to the workplace, and I hope I do, that I'm open to using all my skills. I might use my bookkeeping skills to get into the doorway, but I am going to have a serious discussion with whoever I talk for all these prospects. I'm really going to lay it all out online. You know what I mean? I also do believe that, in order for people to truly try to get what they want, that work-life balance, they need to open up their mouth. That's their end. They need to talk about what they expect from the employer. Now, this is not me in any way trying to be disrespectful, but this is how I do believe. I am trying to record information and feedback on certain experimental things. Everything I do is an experiment. I'm going to sit here and enjoy this journey, what's left of it. And it's very sad that I'm scraping it up at such a late part of my life. Okay, but I also do think that this information and this research could be used for several different reasons. The next research project that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about revising the education system. Oh, yes, I am. Okay, and see, I know that I have been persecuted because they felt as though And I've literally, this is one of the excuses of why they feel as though they wanted to block me out on YouTube. This is the hate and the hate that I received from these people. Okay, they didn't think that I was good enough to be on YouTube. I am not somebody that deserves any respect at all. After dealing with the abuse, I mean, I'm a survivor, and not only am I a survivor, I'm a successful survivor. Meaning, I demonstrated that my methods work. This issue made it so that I am proving that my methods work, that my views are indeed correct. When it talks about how human behavior and everything else, people's not really understanding their religion, people not having understanding of knowledge, people not having a workable knowledge. This is the most important thing. So this project and this thing I'm doing is how is it that you can have a society where people actually have workable knowledge? Workable knowledge. Okay, so meaning that the knowledge that they acquire is going to be put to use. It is not going to be wasted. Like, you see people go to college, they sit there and they go and they take more English classes even though they had them in high school. But they're doing this because it's a part of the curriculum, right? So in order for them to study this, they have to take all these required classes so they can get to this particular whatever. Okay? And really, it's a waste. And you know it's a waste. Everybody knows it's a waste. Okay? It's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. I understand that I got attacked by a lot of Germans. You know what I mean? A lot of Nazis, in other words, okay? And I'm being very respectful in this case. I'm going to get into a little bit more about Nazi people in just a minute. But one thing that I can say about the German people, okay, is that they are to be respected for their efficiency. Efficiency. Okay? Carrying out orders in an efficient manner. Doing anything in an efficient manner, right? So when I think of the school system, when I look at it, I don't see how that can measure up to a German person's standards if it's all about efficiency. I mean, and I'm not saying that the Germans had anything to do with the United States school system, but I will say that I think the United States school system could definitely use some improvement. Okay, because what I've seen around me, I'm really not that impressed. Even with, people who claim to be college educated. And that to me right there, and that's a whole other subject altogether. So this particular project is me talking and focusing on childhood development, which I believe is necessary in order to not only have, educating the children at a certain age. What kind of education should they have? What really is important? And once they get to a certain point, at what point are they able to start using transferable skills or acquiring skills that could help them in their adult lives? Okay, and also I'm thinking about this entire project based on the lifespan of the average human being. To me, when you build a society, that should be a big issue. What is the lifespan of the average? I would say the hamster wheel that we are on, it just sucks up too much of people's lives. Okay? And there's no guarantee. So, why not revise this? I'm not saying it has to be worked, okay? But a part of my life as a Swanson Manifesto, I'm going to tell you what, this is a group of people that I've been abused by, okay? And they would rather me not have any sort of acknowledgement at all. They would rather me just like poof, blow it into thin air. Okay, but I want to leave something in this earth. I want to leave something behind because I am not coming back to this cesspool of filth. So I want to leave my workings behind. Okay, now I understand there's a lot of white people. The reason why I'm blacked out, blacked out by whitewash, blacked out by whitewash, that's funny. Okay, the reason why I'm blacked out by whitewash is because, they feel as though they want to be in competition with me. They don't want people to look at me and see me as an intelligent person. You know what I mean? I may be a threat to that. Okay? But I will say that, I know throughout this bullying situation, many times people growing up, people only saw me as a very scared individual. They only saw me as somebody who was very puzzled by dealing with, by being in reaction mode. Because I was always kind of puzzled. Why is it that people are saying such inappropriate things to me at work? Does not this manager understand that they should be sued for doing what they're doing to me? And I even back then, even back in the days of me working at Edwards Air Force Base, you know, when I was younger, okay, I would realize that these people were out of line. You know what I mean? Because I understood some fundamentals about laws, employment laws, right? So I've always been up in this, and always been advanced, even when they had me scared and backed into a corner. I just didn't know how to express myself, and I didn't know how much I could express myself, and how I could let them know that what they were doing was wrong. And I also, you know, would think that I could start over somewhere else, only for it to happen to me again. You know what I mean? I have lived a very unhappy uh, struggle that most people don't even have to worry about. You know what I mean? That's not even their concern. You know what I mean? I have been bullied and hated on for things that I should have never even had to be responsible for. You know what I mean? That, to me, when I think about it, it makes me want to produce more work. Because I'm going to tell you, like, you know, the few years that I have left, I want to make sure it doesn't go to waste. I want to create and add on to my life's work. My philosophy is important. And what I'm putting into this project, this education project, which I think is very important. Um, you know, will people follow and pick up on this program? This maybe not. But I want people to understand that when I do leave this earth, I lived a good life, and that they mistreated somebody who could have been of value to them, and that's important to me. I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay, so like I did say, you know, actually I didn't really go into the next slide. It's actually the same picture. It's late. I don't feel like changing pictures. Okay, so you guys just like deal with it or whatever. But at this point right now, I am focusing a lot on the content and copywriting. You know, and I want to make this very clear because I know. See, the thing is, when you are somebody who is, when you're a person of color, you deal with a lot of condescending people. And a lot of people feel threatened, and they like to say a lot of snide remarks, or they like to accuse you of being a know-it-all. Like, I get accused of being a know-it-all just by standing in the room. Like, you know, it gets really old, right? You know, but no, just because I'm somebody who calls myself a content and copywriter is in no way me saying that, oh, you know everything. No, I do not. I don't. Okay, I just started making videos, like formal script videos. I would say just in the last 2 years. Most of my videos have been ranting. I would say, um, you know, about being a targeted individual and stuff like that. But then I got interested in doing lessons, and I'm okay with that. Okay, but I think that it can be perfected, absolutely. There might be skills that I'm missing, like as far as like how when my mood is changing, how do I change that? Because I'm somebody who that can't change the sound of my voice. If I'm in a bad mood, I can't change that in the sound of my voice. You're gonna get it, okay? I can't sit here and say, hey everybody, you're gonna be like, something's wrong with Maria, something's not quite right there. Okay, so there's these little things. How do you override that? There's things that I don't know. Okay, but what I do understand is I have an appreciation for that form, that form of expression, whether that be content, videos, or copywriting, or whatever. And I do like writing. I love writing. That's something that I'm focusing on right now. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about my picture. This is obviously my picture that I have on my YouTube channel now. And I know that I look a lot like C.B. Berganza. I mean, I trip on the bridge of the nose. I love it. But I would say that the bullying that has occurred on YouTube. You know, I know that the program was meant for me to commit suicide, to make it so that nothing. They wanted to project a feeling inside me of where nothing is going on in my life. No one pays attention to me. I'm not worth this. I can't do. They wanted me to feel like a failure. They wanted me to feel like, you know, like they really do. Okay, because part of the program is to allow a bunch of Nazi people to try to invoke anger in me, frustration in me, to bully me, right? Because deep down inside, they hate me because I'm everything that they're not. Yep, that's exactly why they hate me. Okay, so because I'm somebody who that they themselves created, they sit here and want to like try to destroy me. The experiment, right? The experiment Like I said, I don't even want somebody even implying anything to me. Okay, you mentioned my hair. I mean, so there's times where you come in and your hair's done, and so you say somebody says, "Hey, you look nice today." There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, but the hair stuff. You don't talk shit about my hair, and the people who imply things about my hair, it's something that is a trigger to me. Okay, because to me it's like you're a racist and you're sitting here trying to play games with me. I'm not. I'm done. Okay, I don't want people talking about my clothes. I don't need people doing anything like that. And I'm going to tell you right now, I know people have probably sitting here saying it because when I dealing with the people that I used to know from high school and the people who thought it was okay to make a decision about stripping me of my identity. This is how evil and wicked these people are. They wanted to strip me from everything that I had. They want to make sure you have nobody to be supportive with you. Your own family turns against you. Okay, they want to destroy your career. They want to destroy your ability to have a social life, so they want you to kill yourself. That's a part of the Nazi program, and it's the Nazi program that gets run through Christian churches. Yes, Christians kill, and yes, Christians are very bloodthirsty. Okay, so when people would sit here talking about how Maria is always looking nice and trying to force me into a uniform, okay, Jackie, and that pissed me off. Okay, when people were trying to do that to me, I know what the conversation is about people who take care of themselves. Everybody knows that that's how you're supposed to do that. I don't care what anyone says. Everyone knows that. So people are going to sit here and try to say snide remarks about, oh my gosh, she's so extra. That expression is so funny to me. I'm extra. Okay? I'm going to tell you what. Hell yeah, I'm extra. This is the reason why I'm naming this video what it is. Hell yeah, I'm extra. You know why? Because I fucking hate this world. I hate this system. I hate how it operates. I hate the shitty people. Okay? I hate the fake religions. I hate all the fucking gossip. I hate all the props, the setups, the abuse that goes on in this world. Okay? So when it really comes down to it in this world, I've come to realize that all I have in this world is me, and I think I am precious, and I'm going to uphold myself every single day that I exist. And if that makes people unhappy, too fucking bad. Too fucking bad. So if that means that Bruce had to die for whatever, for some fucked up mistake that he made, well, that's too fucking bad. You know what that is? Truly, it's karma. Yeah, yeah. Hell yeah, I'm extra in a world that does not give a fuck about me. Now, I know that I've been blocked on YouTube, but part of their training and the reasons why they were blocking me on YouTube is number one, because I present myself well, but the main reason is because I'm the daughter of James Gordon. I am the daughter of King Tut. I'm Tut's daughter. I am Tut's daughter. Okay, and because we are Egyptian people, as a matter of fact, we are Egyptian gods, and we were expected to acknowledge another god. What? Now, don't get me wrong. I know no disrespect to Jesus, right? But this is what I'm saying. This is the damage of I have the right to be who I am. And when I think about the fact that I, was stripped from my homeland, stripped from my title, it's the whole thing. Okay, whatever the case is, and I'm not trying to dig. That's not the point of this video. But the point of this video is just that I had a hard life, a very hard life. Okay, and I'm aware of the abuses that go on in this world. And this is one of the reasons why I try to encourage people to love themselves. Okay, and sad part is that we can't. Now I'm going to tell you right now, I am a very sincere person. Okay, and I am somebody who knows how to love. I know how to love. Okay, like if I care about somebody, I know that when I care about somebody, I understand that certain actions that I may take is going to, if I know it's going to affect that person, I wouldn't dare do that. Because I understand that my caring for this person is sacred. This person is not to be hurt, damaged in any way. I'm supposed to be protective of people that I care about and I love. I understand what love is. It is a sacred emotion, feeling, whatever directed towards an individual. And I know how to give love and I know how to receive love. Okay, which I will tell you in this world there's very little. Okay, and because I understand and how sacred that is, I don't waste my time on fake, phony people. Okay, who want to grin in my face, and I've dealt with these people all my life. All my life. Okay, they want to grin in my face, and it's so easy for them to be this way. It's very easy. for some reason, what story popped in my mind today? I Googled Hitler and Jesse Owens, the 1936 Olympics today. It was on my mind. Why was it on my mind? Maybe it's because it has something to do with Hitler, which my life revolves around Hitler in some weird way. And the fact that maybe I saw that footage when I was CV Verdanza, but there's a lot of Mandela effect that went on with that time period, because some people believe that some people remember seeing Hitler, and I do too. For some reason, I remember seeing Hitler shake Jesse Owens' hand. Not that that's significant, because Hitler was at the event, right? But it's like you wonder, would Hitler shake the hands of Jesse Owens? Okay, and I'm going to say most likely. I know. Okay, no, from when the reason why I was looking at the article is because I wanted to see was this memory correct? Like I could have sworn seeing him shake hands with Jesse Owens, and I think it must a lot of other people have too. Now I didn't see any articles that mentioned the Mandela effect when I think about this, but for some reason I kept thinking that. Okay, but the reason why I was bringing this up is because if Hitler did shake Jesse Owens' hand, it really wouldn't have meant anything. Okay, that's just good showmanship. Okay, when it comes to interacting with Nazi-type people, they don't have any problem with showing kindness to you. They'll invite you to their parties. You know what I mean? They will actually give you Easter baskets and stuff. Okay, and then turn around and be plotting your death, just like Joseph Mengele. I kid you fucking not. Okay, look how Steve Murray was all grinning at Mike. Steve Murray told me several times, this is so weird, Maria, I love you. And every time he would say that, it would creep me the fuck out. Because, Nazis are about studying your behavior, okay? And I'm going to say, I would think that the human emotion, everybody wants love in their life, okay? Everybody wants to feel accepted, okay? But I knew I was never going to fall for that bullshit. I just didn't. And I understand that the point of them excluding me a lot of times is because they want me to come begging to them. The point is, and then also the come to Jesus thing, okay? It's about converting people to a religion. I'm going to convert to a religion of what? Abusers? The thing is with this particular, like, people like Steve Murray, I don't know if it's built in his DNA or what. I don't know, but their ability to understand things or have empathy, it just doesn't. I don't think there's no connection there. There's no connection there. You know what I mean? Because when I think about Joseph Mengele, somebody who's able to, do nice things to little kids, give them candy, play with them, let them call him Uncle Joseph, hug them and be all affectionate to them. The next thing you know, he's sitting here slaughtering them and trying to fuse their body parts together. You know what I mean? There's something very strange about that whole thing. Okay? And so when I think about people like Steve Murray and people who can say things like this, and it's all a part of a plan, and the relationships, like, for example, the interracial relationships that my sisters are involved in. Okay? It's strange to me. You know what I mean? And I understand, like, if like I said, so, if, Jesse Owens did indeed shake Hitler's hand, then they really didn't mean anything. Yes, Hitler probably would have shaken his hand. But according to what actually happened, Hitler left the event, I believe, sometime during the Jesse Owens and didn't actually see what actually occurred. That's basically what I was reading in this article, But what else do I want to say about Hitler? And I think that was it about the old Jesse Owens thing. And, because I did want to talk about, how, hang on a second. Messy with my screen again. How Hitler and Nazis in general, a lot of the Nazis that I have encountered, some of them seem very split-minded. And I will say, when I was growing up in this program, Obviously, they are spread-minded, because I know, like, I think about things like, Valentine's Day and holidays. I remember when I was a kid, I loved Valentine's Day, and I would be so happy to get all these little Valentines and stuff, and then to think that I'm opening all these Valentines and happy to get them from the kids that I knew at school, and these kids were fucking Nazis. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, Nazis, they blend in and pretend. And some of them do it well. And some of it you can see right through. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm going to go on to the next slide real quick. See, now, I made these different slides earlier when I made the attempt to make this video. And so, I figure I have all these slides ready. I'm just going to go ahead and use them when it's appropriate. But so now you were looking at the Nazi flag, right? And I know the whole swastika thing and the racism that I've dealt with, and oh my God, I cannot tell you what a nightmare that is. What a nightmare! How weird it is, how disturbing and sick it is, how twisted it is. How when I think about how it infiltrates into even your family life. I'm assuming that the people like the Nazis generally don't have or believe. It seems like or how can I say this? They don't see the importance of human emotions. They don't. They seem as though they lack empathy. Okay, and like I said from the Joseph Mengele thing, um, they don't seem to care about. They only care about advancing themselves at any cost. At any cost. You know what I mean? And so, like when I think about the interracial marriages, that my sister was, and I was in an interracial marriage too. And really, when I married my ex-husband, it was just I didn't think of ourselves as married. I really just kind of thought of him as a roommate that we were just kind of having fun. You know what I mean? I knew that we were legally married, and that was it. I really just kind of wanted to go to work, come home, and just hang out in the house. I never realized that people had any expectations of me as far as like being like some kind of wife in some sort of role. And the funny part about it is, it's like when I married Joel, he and I never talked about that either. He never said, well, you got to be this kind of wife and blah 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 blah. It was never like that. You know what I mean? And then I felt like people were getting into my personal business, trying to dictate how, because they were asking me stuff like coming into my work, asking me, or trying to make me feel bad because I didn't make dinner for Joel. Now, I will tell you, when I first got married, or when I first met Joel, we basically drank a lot, hang out, we partied a lot, okay? And of course, like we would make food at night, and sometimes we would do it together. And then as we started hanging out more, it was kind of like, he was like, oh, I kind of want to just go out and get some food at Carl's Jr., right? And I'm like, cool, because I don't have to cook. And it was just like, we do our own thing, okay? And then you got people coming in, getting all up in your business about, trying to figure out, was I doing this for being married? And it's like, dude, stay out of my marriage. You're like really being nosy. See, because of the infiltration. And see, this infiltration must have occurred in one of my marriages in my past life. I will tell you, I will tell you the invasive shit that goes on. I mean, now mind you, I would have eventually found out. I mean, I eventually found out that Joel had a lifestyle that would kind of disturb me. But still, okay. But still, my point is that the fact that people could actually come in and destroy your relationships. They literally come in and destroy your relationships and plot against your stuff. That to me is just like, oh my God. What won't you do? How fucking demonic can you be? Okay? Then you got like interracial couples and their mixed race children, and you've got their mixed race children acting like they're superior to somebody. Okay? How demonic can you be? This shit that happened is just like, it's unreal. Okay? It's very unreal to me. And okay. Maria, back up. I tried not to go on about this, but what I wanted to say was about the Nazis. Ku Klux Klan, people who who want to advance themselves. And I think really what they want to do is exactly that. They want to advance themselves and erroneously think that they can advance themselves through their race. Okay? I understand that in reality, uh, just based on my own experience, even though I'm not white, but I think this is going to apply to just about anybody that exists on Earth. Okay, uh, I understand that when the shit hits the fan, people really aren't willing to give a crap about you, regardless of what your color is. Okay, now I know that I've dealt with black people talking about how important it is for black people to be advancing themselves, advancing their race and everything. And I would say if you look at me and the accomplishments and the things that I do, who I am as a person, I would say that I'm somebody, and I've never walked into life with the idea of me purposely advancing my race. I've never even thought about that. Okay, you know what I was trying to do? I was trying to pay my bills. Period. Okay, but still, if you look at it, you would think that black people would take an interest in me and me want to form alliances with me and stuff like that. In fact, because I was in this program, a lot of black people weren't even supportive of me, mainly because they were brainwashed. Okay, but I know in other social situations, like when you have like leadership or whatever, that people bickering goes on within these sort of groups. They might be jealous of that particular person because they're getting more attention or whatever. You know what I mean? So that happens. I also see like women support groups that sit here and women get jealous of other women, and when a woman actually exhibits the strong behaviors that women claim that they want to women to show, then they sit there and bully them. You know what I mean? Now, in this situation where people got caught in a covert program doing some illegal stuff to me, right? This whole issue of me being, being bullied, religiously bullied, and them trying to force me into suicide, some people got some serious karma in their little white nationalist group. And like I said, I'm sure in this group, nobody was happy about the karma that they were getting. Okay? They didn't really, it's always about that. So what really people want in life is they want to be happy, they want to be well adjusted, and I fully understand that. I do understand that. But the thing is that it's wrong to think that you can get those things at the expense of other people. Excellence has to be, if you're aiming for excellence, then aim for excellence. You know what I mean? Produce. Meaning like, there must be an idea of what you perceive to be powerful. You know what I mean? Or somebody who performs something well or whatever. I don't know, but definitely bullying people out of things and enacting forms of terrorism is not the answer. It's not the answer. But love, I personally believe that, we should love ourselves. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I personally believe our true allegiance is to ourselves. That's not to say that you cannot be faithful to a group or organization in a certain way, but I'm just saying is that what people really want to do is they want to have some sort of self-worth. And I understand that. I get it. Okay? But you cannot get self-worth. If anything, you're only making yourself look really bad. Okay? Because when I really think about this story, you basically knew good and well you would put a person in a situation, a helpless person, and you want to beat helpless people down, and you want to sit here and label people as stupid, but yet you feel like you want to compete against a stupid person and exploit a person that you perceive to be mentally, what do you call it, disabled or something. This is the lame titles they were saying about me. Okay? There's a lot of people that I remember going to school with, and I remember, I'm starting to remember how many German people that I was surrounded by when I was growing up with. I'm looking back on some of these people. Some of these kids I remember as German foreign exchange students, and I really wouldn't be surprised if they actually flew them in just so they could sit here and spy on me. I would not be surprised. I was thinking about a girl that I knew. She was a foreign exchange student, and I remember my dad was working at NASA, and I wanted her to have a souvenir. So my dad got her a NASA little space shuttle. And I personally think that she was an enemy coming to spy on me. Now, now she knows me. I mean, I got a message today because I was thinking about her. My mind turned to this person for some reason. Okay. And I do believe that she was somebody who didn't have a very high opinion of me. Okay. Which a lot of people didn't at the time. But see, I was nice enough to this girl to give her a gift because I wanted her. Because see, this is the kind of person I was. Okay. So all my life, I was being mistreated by Nazis, and I was very nice to these people, not knowing what they were. Okay. And you know, the funny thing is, I get the feeling that my brother knew that these people were Nazis, but see, my brother really had a lot of self-hatred. He had a lot of self-hatred. And I will say that Nazis do create a lot of self-hatred, and that's part of their program. The part of the program is to make you hate yourself, to make them feel superior. And see, this is not the way you go about gaining power. Okay? Bullying people, terrorizing people, creating competitions with people that they don't want to be in. Now, some people obviously want to be in competition. Some people, if you want to be in competition, choose a sport. And there's people who would love to be into that. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people do like sports. You know what I mean? It's a way of showing your strength, showing your skill, showing your ability. You know what I mean? You know, some people get into that sort of stuff. Okay, but you know, obviously, I don't want to compete. What you try to do is you try to compete me and cheat me out of life, and think it's funny. You know what I mean? You think it's funny to, you know, the way that you killed my father, the slow kill, the reducing him down to that, and then having people come around and like with their snide little smiles on their faces, knowing good and well that they're fucking killing my dad with that look on their face. You know what I mean? Oh, what's going on with your dad? And I'm like, at the time I didn't really know what was going on. I was like, oh, you know, my dad, you know, they think he has Alzheimer's. Ow! And they were happy. Those sick fucks were happy. And then after they ended up killing my father, then they come back and they're angry with me. And then they side with the man who you know, my ex-boyfriend, right? Who I left a long time ago because I didn't want to be abused with him, be abused and have my son even really know these people. Okay. And so the nightmare of my Maria Gordon's life begins with these Nazi people. Okay. And then surprise, surprise, Terry Collins is a Nazi, and then all these. And I'm going to tell you what, all I've known was bad people throughout my life, and been around mind control. And thank goodness, you know, I've been able to identify something that a lot of people have don't. See, they've been bullying me and punishing the person who is a genius my entire life. My entire life. Really, I should have been able to go to maybe like what do you call it? One of those schools specifically designed for genius people. But unfortunately, I was somebody who was born in a program and never received the proper care and nurture of my gifts and my abilities. I was never in the right anything, and that was done on purpose. You know what I mean? It's very sadistic. The whole thing. The whole thing is very sadistic. But my brother, you know, he dealt with a lot of self-hatred, and he did what he could to be friends with these people. And I will tell you, when I was younger, you know, I remember, you know, going to school and wanting to be friends with some of these kids. You know what I mean? And it makes sense because, you know, you're a certain age and you want to, you know, you want to go do stuff. And I was a very active-minded person, and I want to, you know, do things with other people. Of course. You know what I mean? But a lot of these kids were just either using me for information gathering, and didn't have any respect for. I'll tell you, they didn't have any respect for me. You know why? Because they basically wanted to deny me of everything that I was as a person and a human being. They wanted to belittle everything that I liked. They wanted to, you know, if I did something that, you know, if I liked something, like, for example, I remember growing up, and I used to like things like Duran Duran. I remember liking them. I used to like things like Culture Club and stuff like that, right? Why? Because it was on the radio and it was catchy. You know what I mean? Or I thought Simon Le Bon was cute, or something like that. Now, for me to even express my interest in that, that was like, you know, they had to sit here and try to make me feel bad because I saw things on the radio. As if, you know, the radio was, you know, segregated. So they hated. The thing is that I didn't realize how pathologically sick white hatred was. I didn't realize that it was a game of you're fucked if you do and you're fucked if you don't. Okay, like, you know, for example, I remember I've experimented with my hair like several times. Okay, I've experimented with my hair so many times. Okay, and what I find offensive, like especially with people like Terry Collins, you know, she felt as though perhaps maybe she wanted me to wear my hair in another way, and it's offensive to me is the fact that number one, she's not my family member. And the very fact that white people think that they have the right to possess other people, something that personal, that belongs to another person, to basically speak and make a decision like that for another person. I am not even related to this person in any way, shape, or form. And if I was, I would make sure I would distance from myself from them, because that's one of those signs of abuse. Okay? But she wanted me to basically look a certain way for her own benefit, so she could feel good about herself. Or she, whatever the issue is, okay? Now, some people would be willing to accommodate, because I will tell you, when people ostracize you, you do think, okay, I don't really fit in. What do I do? But at the same time, I'll tell you this. I will never sit here and change my life to appeal to anybody to be their friend. You know why? Because it's always a setup. It's always a setup. You know what I mean? I am happy with who I am, and I like my little life, my little basic life. I'm very content with what I have and how I live my life. You know what I mean? And I hate anybody, and I will defend myself, and I will literally hate and tear apart anybody who even tries to threaten my life in any way, shape, or form. Okay, and I'm certainly not, and I understand what white supremacy is, and this is something that she was a part of, even though she claimed to be a Jehovah's Witness. You know, even though she claimed to be a Jehovah's Witness, that blows me away. It really does. Let me see if I have any other slides. Really, this video is getting sloppy because I can already tell I'm getting tired. Oh, okay. I'm going to leave it on the Nazi thing for just a little bit longer, because I did want to talk a little bit more about, the taunting and the belittling of them, trying to act as if, I was not an educated person after bullying me in the school system, and me falling down and trying to get back up several times. I know that that was something that they totally enjoyed. They thought that was something that was fun. They thought that it was something that they glorified, and it made them feel extremely powerful. This is very sick and pathological. Okay. And I've dealt with their cruelty. Okay, I dealt with their cruelty. When it comes to education, there are people, when you're white, they make a lot of exceptions in this situation. And like I said, I'm an information gatherer. Okay, I know that this was supposed to be a white Christian movement. It was, kind of, what do you call it? Yeah, it's based on white nationalism and stuff like that. And, they were trying to enforce, Christianity on me. Well, the last time I spoke to somebody that I used to know growing up, he was basically telling me that he referred to himself as a Buddhist. It's funny how, and I know the person that I was talking to and about him being Mormon, the guy who I identified as being Mormon, he wasn't even going into the Mormon church anymore at that time, but nobody seemed to be badgering him, right? So it's basically, let me tell you how to live your life. Let me try to force you into something that you don't want. And you had all these white people who are trying to bully me, trying to make me accept a religion that I wouldn't do. I won't ever do it. Okay? I have no respect for it. Okay? And so, it was a dehumanizing type situation. It was dehumanizing for people. I will tell you right now, when I go to work, I don't expect to hear any sort of, people can have their personal opinions about people's races. They may not like another race. That's their choice. Okay? But when you are that stupid to bring this sort of topic up in the workplace, it's just like, I'm not putting up with it. At all. At all. Okay? The part of the experiment was to see how I react. Okay? And I'm going to tell you, if somebody understands that after me understanding this program, understanding what they did to my father, and then understanding the hardship that I had to deal with in my life, understanding the root of it, okay? If you come around me with that stupid smirk on your face, we're going to have a problem, okay? You come up here and start talking about stuff that you think it's funny, you're going to start triggering me after you're basically bragging to me that you murdered members of my family. You murdered my father, because that's basically what you did. Okay, you've reduced the quality of my life. There's not anybody that I can sit here and count on. So I'm not going to sit here and put up with your fucking shit anymore. And yes, I'm saying that to the entire white nationalist group, all by myself. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay, because I'm somebody who observes people, and I'm a social scientist and a philosopher, occultist, so on and so forth, and everything else under the sun, right? God, what is Maria not into, right? I was thinking about the misconceptions of education, and a lot of people have this ridiculous idea in their head that having an education makes you infallible. I was thinking about how being an educated person many years ago, there were certain things that was supposed to make you stand out as an educated person. As an educated person, if you're an educated person, number one, you would probably never use slang. You know what I mean? You would realize that using the proper pronunciation for words and the proper using words correctly, using the vocabulary words correctly, that would be an important thing when it comes to communication. What I'm saying is an educated person was supposed to be a step above the rest. Cultured, well-versed in all subjects, and be a well-rounded person. Okay, this is one of the reasons why the school system was supposed to be built on this, to create a well-rounded person in different things. You'll notice like art and what do you call it? Art and a foreign language. Learning art, learning a different language. It's supposed to be about discovery in all different aspects of life, okay, to make you like a well-versed person. And not just that, it's supposed to be workable knowledge. Okay, meaning you're not supposed to be ignorant after you go through that system. It's supposed to enlighten you. It's supposed to educate you. You're supposed to be walking around like a walking encyclopedia, or the best version of one that you can as an educated person. That's what you're supposed to be. Okay, but I see a lot of blank faces on the so-called educated people. Okay, and so, and also, this is one of the reasons why I feel it's important to revise the education system, because a lot of times people might be, engrossed in textbooks or these so-called required courses that they have to take when they might be going to school for like something like, for example, business administration. And so, they have to take all these required courses, and really they just need to understand how to do, like maybe the light accounting, or the learning how to create correspondences, and the basic light work of what the real nuts and bolts of what the job really entails. So that it could actually save money by reducing the unnecessary use of college. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm getting off subject. As usual, and late at night. Anyway, I was thinking about the idea of being cultured is obviously wrong, because I know a lot of people who don't really know anything. They wanted to go to college, they passed the test, they got that piece of paper, okay? But like when I think about this situation, this social situation, okay, how many psychologists who are practicing psychology got together and actually stood up for me because they understood, the psychological effects that this would have on another human being? I'm gonna probably say none. Okay, I do know I have supporters, but I'm not aware of that. Okay, but they don't show any support. Okay, and they should have. If they were psychologists and they understand what this actually does to a human being, they should know. They should know, what is it like to be excluded? What is it like to be in isolation? They should understand that. Why didn't anybody say anything? Oh, because they were being paid off by somebody. Because they were getting benefits from being a Christian, a fake Christian at that. Okay? So I deal with a lot of corrupt people that to me are just like, really, I deal with monsters all the time. I look at people. To me, when I look at people, I get disgusted. So let me just find a job that I can focus on my job. And I don't have to sit here and worry about people too much. Okay? Because I'm tired of seeing two-faced people. I'm really tired of it. Okay, but I was thinking about the story of Jack the Ripper today. Okay, and how Jack the Ripper was went many years undetected because a lot of people were under the impression that he couldn't possibly do something like that. And the reason why he couldn't possibly do something like that is because he went to the finest schools and he had a good profession. So therefore, he couldn't do something like that. I think that to me is ridiculous. It's like the reason why I wrote this note down, and it says, as if reading and listening to instructors had anything to do with morality. Like, you get your textbooks in college, right? And you listen to the professor or what do you call it, your instructor, right? You're learning the lessons of whatever subject you're studying, okay? But that has nothing to do whether or not you have a desire to kill people. That has nothing to do with anything. So people think just because you go to college means that you're just above it all, like you can't possibly do something like that. That's silly. It's absolutely silly and definitely wrong. Because, when I think of, people who have in higher positions, who've gone to Ivy League schools, who participate in things like human trafficking, gang stalking, covert programs to kill people. Yes, these white collar people, I guess what you call it, white collar crime. Yeah, I'm aware of that. I understand what gets said, what the ideas that get circulated around among people, the common belief system that gets circulated around people. Like, the common belief system used to be where, like, people thought if you were educated, you couldn't possibly do anything wrong. Or people think that if you went to get your degree, that means you're smart. Well, I mean, I'm here to tell you, it's not. Doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? When it comes to college, people read like textbooks, like for example, people who are studying things like religious experiences or something, and maybe let's just say, for example, this person's going to school to I don't know, what would you do that? Maybe theologian? No, that's not so much the theologian. Okay, let's use another example, like something that they're learning about. Like, okay, like for example, Gerald Gardner. I had mentioned him before. He's the one who brought Wicca into like the United Kingdom, and this is what shortly after the United Kingdom lifted their ban on witchcraft. Okay, which I will talk about witchcraft too. I remember talking about that in the last thing. Okay, but he was not. People, the reason why YouTube blocks me is because they try to make me feel bad about what happened to me growing up and me missing out on receiving like the normal form of an education through the school system. Okay, and Gerald Gardner and as many occultists would study people from cultures who didn't even have an education. Things like people like pygmies and indigenous people, they don't have any, some of these people didn't have like formalized forms of writing and languages and stuff like that. Some of them did, okay? But still, I mean, people always think that, there's no other method to learn other than college. But when you look at these people who've gone through the college system, they do not prove to be educated or being able to apply any sort of knowledge that really works in their life. And when I will say, when it comes to things like, case studies and how people learn from their profession, they're actually studying people like me. I am what these textbooks and things like this is the case studies that people are actually learning about. Okay, they're actually learning in theory, learning about cases and things like that, occurrences, and they're retaining that in their memory. But they don't really know how it applies and how that really matters. You know what I mean? So you can't make me feel bad because, of you having a 4-year degree and trying to make me feel like I know I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? I know that people have told me that I should be a lawyer. And this is when I was a teenager. Okay, I'm not going to write lawyer on my list of all the things that I consider myself, but I certainly, I certainly can, what do you call it, do the jobs of a lot of people
who persecuted me, who allowed me to go through this sort of suffering and was a part of the covert program, who was basically trying to belittle me, acting as if I didn't know anything. You know what I mean? This is how I explained my way and was able to navigate my way through this whole program, because I know more than most people. And so did my father. You know what I mean? Me and my father are we're two Egyptian people, right? With higher knowledge. Okay? And so I'm not going to feel ashamed or embarrassed about calling myself a philosopher. I'm not going to be ashamed or embarrassed about referring to myself as a social scientist. And some people might say, oh, you were all that? You can only have one title. You know what? I'm so smart. I'm all of those things. And I can say it. And you know what? When people look at me and they look at my father, and there's so many things my dad could do too. Okay? And I'm not going to sit here and put my head down because I don't have a 4-year degree. The thing is, what makes me successful is that I don't. That's what makes me successful. Because I acquired knowledge that's off the fucking charts. Okay? That I sat here and had to defend myself when these Bakersfield lawyers were probably getting paid under the table to fuck me over. Turn a blind eye to my situation. Okay? So them as being a lawyer, whether that be the criminal lawyers or employment lawyers, okay? Corrupt. Or they just don't know how to do their job. Because I'll tell you what, if there was any true, real people who gave a shit, they would be saying, oh, you know what, she's right, and they should have been protesting on my behalf. But guess what, no one wanted to do that. You know why? Because they were being paid off through a Nazi program. So I'm not dumb. And what I mean by paid off, it might be some sort of incentive because they're being a part of a church type thing, whatever the dark shit that went on, okay? I understand how things work. And I understand those things are illegal. And the reason why I understand those things are illegal, because I could very well add lawyer to that list of all the other things I can be. Okay, I intimidate white people. It is what it is. So when it comes to like white supremacy, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm not trying to create any problems with you. I'm just trying to get through hell just like everybody else. Okay? I promise you, I'm not going to sit here and try to like take your position. Okay? And I understand right now people are basically scratching and like gnawing, you know, just to get anything. Right? I got people perping me, complaining, and then when they were perping me hardcore, they were sitting here complaining and talking about the reason why they wanted to take away my clothes and stuff, because they thought I had too much. That's so disrespectful. That is so inhumane and just absolutely horrible. It's not enough that these people like to ridicule and try to bully me. Okay? They wanted to make me a public spectacle of bullying. That's fucking goddamn evil. But see, this excites these people. This is the kind of shit that makes these people jack off and get extremely excited. Because when it comes to ritualistic murder, because that's exactly what it is, it's ritualistic murder. Okay? Because they want to, you know, they get so charged up when you get called into a job interview, knowing good and well that they're toying with you. Just like, I cannot remember the name of that spa. I cannot remember the name of the spa. Okay? But this is the kind of behavior I've had to deal with. I've had to deal with people in my face with that weird, twisted look on their face. Jackie had that look on her face. Towards the end of me wrapping up my employment, she started becoming very sick. Very sick. Okay? So I understand people. I understand who I am. I understand my gifts. I understand my talent. And I understand that, you know, when it comes to a lot of these people who are trying to compare themselves to me, I never asked to be compared to anybody. Okay? And I will say, a lot of these kids who went to college, the college graduates of these people who were supposed to be competing with me, when I was growing up, the only colleges that mattered were Ivy League schools. Okay? Some of these kids got little scholarships. Some of these kids might be like first generational college graduates. And, you know, I'm not belittling that at all. I think that's cool. Okay? But at the end of the day, I know it doesn't mean anything. Okay? It don't mean anything to me. I'm not impressed. And I'm not being cross when I say this. I mean, and if I was cross when I said this, I would think that I have the right to. Okay? Because somebody who could bully, who could have the nerve to sit here and bully a person who's all by themselves, bully an old man who did nothing to him,
Okay, my father bought that girl, that German girl, a souvenir, and he wanted her to be happy. That's it. My father, we did things for the goodness of our heart, not because we expected anything in return. Okay, but I bet you anything she couldn't wait to go back to her country and start talking shit about me and my family. I bet you anything. Okay, because it's the same kind of group of people, same kind of group mentality of these people. It is what it is. So, don't you ever call me uneducated. Don't you ever disrespect my name. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up, and I will be back with another video sometime later.